Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Maximum warp. Punch it. Punch it.
Punch it, Bishop!
Punch it.
Punch that shit!
Let's punch it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Punch It episode 90. My name is Charlene Schmidt, and with me, as always, is
Tristan Riddell.
Tristan. We are continuing what we started last week. We are doing our What If switcheroo, where Captain Benjamin Sisko steps up, takes command of the USS Voyager, lost in the Delta Quadrant. And last week, we discussed a lot about Caretaker and how that was going to roll out. And now that we've established that, we have a couple more tasks at hand. We've got to establish how he's going to interact with this crew, as well as where the show kind of goes from here.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun last week, and this was all spurred from what we did a couple of weeks ago with Jonathan Archer commanding the Enterprise D. And like you said, we focus on Caretaker, and we definitely recommend, you can enjoy this on its own, but we definitely recommend that you go back and listen to the first episode because it's a lot of fun, and we kind of break down how Sisko wound up on Voyager and how Caretaker goes down. But pretty much everything is exactly the same. I mean, like Tom was in prison, and now he flies the ship. And Chakotay is first officer. Tuvok is at security. Harry's there. Everything is the same except we didn't have Catherine Janeway in there. We had Nicole Janeway, and she died when they went into the Delta Quadrant. And thus, Sisko was on there just to observe the ship because he helped design the Intrepid, but he was the most senior member at the time, and Tuvok said, like, hey, you should be the captain, and Bob's your uncle. There we have it. And so I'm really excited to see how the show changes, because you actually made an interesting point off mic about how the leader of the ship and the leader of the show, the captain, dictates the feeling from the top down.
Totally. They set the tone. So a lot of things, we've kept the framework the same, but I do think that interactions with the members of the crew, the rest of the crew that has not changed, it's going to be different than how Catherine Janeway did it. So that'll be a big part of what we discussed today. And side note, to our listeners, thanks for the awesome feedback. You guys let us know. We got a lot more feedback than usual about, hey, this was a great episode, guys. Please keep doing these in the future. So you bet we will. We're having a great time doing them.
Absolutely, and we're going to continue to do them. Maybe not every week, but we're going to continue to do them because they are so much fun. Now, Shar, I have a question for you. Before we get into how the show has changed or how Sisko interacts with his first officer, his security officer, or his chief engineer, what do you think the major changes would be from Janeway to Sisko? Like, would Sisko demand to have his private dining room back? Would Sisko be as obsessed with coffee? You know, like what would be like the little things that would pop up in his command style?
These are the very important questions. First and foremost, yes, we must discuss coffee. This was the cornerstone of what got Janeway through. Now, I don't think Ben Sisko is quite as obsessed or as caffeinated as she is. So I'm wondering if maybe he's going to train Neelix to cook some Cajun cuisine. Would that not be cool?
Oh, that's solid.
Yeah. So we've got to keep the mess hall then.
Yeah, we got to keep them. Yes, that's. I'm sorry, I'm rambling. But Sisko would be all about the mess hall. I think
you're right.
He would be
as a cornerstone of the community. That's where everybody kind of comes together.
Being raised in a restaurant, his father having a restaurant, I think he would be the first to say, I don't need a private dining room. And you should create a mess hall, and let me help you set it up, and let me help you get going.
Yeah. Here's where I think there's a difference. I think Ben Sisko never liked the idea of having a private dining hall, and realizing that there's going to be a need for more fresh, non-replicated cooking. He has the idea to create the mess hall, and he kind of employs Neelix to set it up and run it. It's not Neelix's idea. He doesn't just do it. Sisko tells him, you want to make yourself useful? It's more than just a guide. This is how you can do it. You game?
100%. 100%. Yeah, like when Janeway said, like, this isn't a passenger ship, and they kind of said, like, oh, well, we can do this or this. I think Sisko would say, like, okay, if you're going to be on this ship, you need to work. So you do this, you do this, you do this. What are your strengths? You do this.
Yeah.
And I feel like
we're totally kind of went against what we said we were going to do, but I feel like we're now in the Neelix portion. I feel like Sisko would not just put up with Neelix's cooking, because that was kind of a theme throughout the show, that Neelix was a horrible cook.
Yeah,
and
sure.
They just kind of put up with it as a crew. I don't think Sisko would put up with it. I think he would say, listen, this is how you cook for a Federation crew.
Yes, Sisko's gonna teach Neelix how to cook. Leola root or no Leola root? That's the next big question we must answer.
I think there's always going to be Leola root. I think Neelix would force it on the crew, just like some chefs force tofu. But he would, I think it would be like a meeting in the middle. I think like Sisko would fight back from a Federation side, and Neelix would fight back from a necessity side. You're not in the Alpha Quadrant, you're in the Delta Quadrant. I think they would meet in the middle.
You're probably right.
And they would both learn from each other.
Yeah, I like it. And maybe there is a way to make Leola root taste like truffles or something really fancy and awesome. Maybe that's where Sisko's finesse comes in, his expertise. They do have to use the Leola root because it grows quickly and it's available and it's nutritious. So I love it. They meet in the middle. They make it work. That's awesome.
So let's stay on Neelix a little bit. Let's just stay on Neelix.
Okay.
So do you think Sisko would allow him, encourage, or not care if he was the self-proclaimed morale officer?
That's a really good question. Neelix is going to go in with, hey, I'm your guide. Where does morale officer kind of come in? I kind of wonder if that's something where, say, around season 3, Neelix is starting to feel a little useless. He has that point where they're leaving the space that he knows, and he's freaking out because, yeah, I'm the chef, but I want to do more for the crew. I'm a part of this family. Maybe he talks with Sisko. Is there anything else that I can do on this ship? I mean, is there a need? And maybe we have some sort of Neelix story where he figures out, hey, I'm really good at boosting people up. And he officially puts in a request, hey, I want to be the ship's morale officer. And maybe Sisko says, hey, look, we don't have a counselor on this ship. This is the next best thing.
I think that's a good thing to have an arc for Neelix where he's not like the self-proclaimed morale officer from the get-go, but yet he kind of goes into that role. Like he grows from there. I honestly think Sisko wouldn't care. I think he would just kind of go like, yeah, sure, whatever. You're the morale officer. Go with God. Like I think.
But then maybe Neelix kind of impresses Sisko with his ingenuity and the little ways that he kind of props everybody up, makes them happy, gives them a moment to smile about with each day.
I think over time, definitely Sisko would see the value in Neelix. I mean, because if Sisko can come around with Nog, I think he could definitely come around with Neelix, where I feel like it would be like with Janeway, it was a little bit more, I don't want to, adversarial isn't the right word, but she had a little bit more contempt for Neelix at the beginning, like a lot of characters did. But I feel like Sisko would just kind of be indifferent, where it's just like, great, we have a cook, we have a guide, that's fine, whatever, do what you need to do. But I think as time went on, he would see the value and see how he really does want to contribute and be a member of the crew. And I think Sisko respects that.
You bring up an important question. The earlier days, remember the episode The Cloud where Neelix wants to jump ship and get the heck out of there because they have this beautiful ship, and what do? They find any way to possibly break it and blow themselves up. And that's kind of the contentious Janeway that you're talking about, where she's just, hey, you wanted to come with us on this mission? This is what you have to deal with. This is how we operate. This is what we do. Like Jonah and the whale, you're going in. Now, how would Sisko approach this?
I think he would approach it in fundamentally the same way. Like they'd end up in the same spot, where I think he would say something like, he's like, we don't have the time nor the resources to prep your ship. I think he would do it a little bit more yelly, because that's my favorite kind of Sisko, is yelling Sisko. Because I think the conversation would be half as short as it was with Janeway, where Sisko was just like, I don't have the time and I don't care. You're a member of this crew, and if you want to be a member of this crew, you're going to stay on board. If after this whole situation is done, you want to leave, you can get your ass out.
Yeah, in the meantime, shut up and hang on.
Exactly. I love that. In the meantime, shut up and hang on. I think that would be the closing phrase instead of Jonah and the whale.
Now, do we still have the conversation of dismissed? That's a Starfleet word for get out.
I think Neelix would know. I think Neelix would just turn around and run out.
I think he would be so aghast at Sisko saying what he just said that he would just kind of have this shocked look on his face and then turn around and leave, speechless. Can't say a word.
Yep. That's exactly how it would go down. Okay, so we've established how he would interact with Neelix. Let's go ahead and go back to the top. Let's start from the top down here.
Let's discuss Chakotay.
Now, this is strange here. This is a weird dynamic because Chakotay can sometimes be similar to Sisko, where Chakotay's fine with throwing a punch. Chakotay's fine with forcing people to do what they don't want to do. He's fine with yelling if he needs to, but he's also a warm and sensuous person and is down to earth and respects his roots, and so does Sisko, very much so. And so they have very similar personalities. I'm sure people might argue with me, but I think an argument can be made that they have similar personalities. And how does that look like in a crew? Because this is a what if scenario. This is not like if only they did something like this, or this would make a great show. This is a what if scenario. So these are the cards that were dealt. How do you think that would go down? Do you think Chakotay would adjust himself to maybe be a little bit more softer since Sisko's so firm on the top?
Maybe over time, but what I wonder is, are they too alike? Are things going to be really contentious at first?
I think so. I really do. I think it's realistically, Chakotay and Janeway should not have gotten along as quickly as they did.
No, but they do complement each other, and that's why their relationship worked so well. My feeling is that with these two characters, Sisko and Chakotay, being so much alike, they're too much alike. They know exactly where the other person is coming from, and they're going to butt heads constantly.
I really do think so. I think there's going to be a lot of shouting matches. I think there's going to be a lot more dispute from Chakotay saying, listen, if you want the Chakotay to be a part of this crew, you need to listen to me. And it's not just about integration, because he does fight, like when he fights for Torres to be chief engineer, that's him very much fighting for Maquis rights.
Totally.
I feel like that conversation he would direct it inward by saying, if you want to accept the Maquis, you have to accept me and my ideas. I'm here to represent, I serve the captain, but I'm here to represent the crew. And by not listening to me, you are not listening to the crew. And I think Sisko would be pig-headed at first.
Dare I say it, I think this might start out as a little bit of a prick-waving contest.
They'd bring out the ruler, you think? Yeah, I think so too.
I mean, maybe just even to the where they're arguing for the sake of arguing. It's ridiculous, and then they're going to reach that point where they realize just how ridiculous they are, because for every major decision they're going to go off into the ready room and have some argument about it. And the younger officers like Harry, they're going to look at Tuvok like, oh, they're fighting again.
Yeah, it's the thing. You have two strong personalities that are similar, and they're going to butt heads. And like, obviously Janeway's a strong personality. Of course she is.
Yeah. And it was fun when they butted heads too. But Chakotay always backed down. So does that follow the correct pattern then, where does he, after a while, soften up and defer to Sisko because he's tired of the fighting, or do they find a way to resolve their differences? I hope it's the latter.
This might be wish fulfillment, but I feel like this relationship would be representative of the Maquis Federation relationship, the Maquis Starfleet relationship on the show. I think this would go on for a while. They wouldn't be besties by the end of season 1.
No.
I'm not saying that there would be, like, it would come to blows. I'm not saying that they would hate each other, but I think there would be a contentious relationship, and thus have a contentious relationship between Starfleet and Maquis as time went on. And I think Sisko would be the first one to bend by saying, we can't run the ship this way.
I think you're right.
Maybe things pop up where inefficiency pops up, or command leaders can't manage their own teams because of the infighting and the in-argument, and maybe certain factions are popping off where Maquis people are only listening to people of power who are also Maquis, and vice versa with Starfleet. And so they both recognize it's a problem. And maybe Sisko is the one who says, listen, we cannot fix this crew, this ship, until we fix ourselves.
Yes, because all those problems, the root of it is the example that's being set at the top.
Right.
I love it.
the mother and the father set the tone for the children, and they're fighting all the time.
Yeah, in this case, dad and dad are just constantly at odds, and the kids see it and say, okay, that's how we handle our problems on this ship. Well, I'm going to meow, 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 too. And suddenly everybody is just rabble, rabble, rabble.
Exactly. And so I don't know how exactly they find a way, but they find a way. Sisko learns to listen, and Chakotay learns to pick his battles. I think that's kind of the middle ground.
I like it, yes, and thus ending the prick waving contest.
So one thing that I absolutely want to keep that was kind of proprietary to Janeway
was the confidant relationship with Tuvok. I think that would still work with Sisko.
I think so too. Yeah. Now, do they have the same history where...
I don't think so.
No? Okay. So is it just one of those things where they're very good friends and they've been friends? I guess we should define how this works.
I think they become fast friends. I think
The experiences with Caretaker is what helps them bond. And Tuvok is the one that first gave Sisko counsel on nudging him to become captain and also giving him permission to become captain. And so Sisko never really stopped going to him for advice because the guy is almost in the triple digits in age.
Yeah, he's old.
Even though he's a lower rank, he's a seasoned Starfleet veteran. He knows the ship. He knows the crew, the majority of the crew, better than anybody because this was supposed to be his crew. And so I feel like Sisko would rely on that expertise and also his cool, calm demeanor, which sometimes Sisko is lacking. And maybe he understands that he's lacking in that.
Right. So then he's depending on Tuvok to keep him in check a little bit.
Right.
He's balancing. So you're saying that they don't have a past like Janeway and Tuvok did. They become friends while serving on the ship.
Yes, I do believe that because Sisko has so many issues with Chakotay at first, and also because he's Maquis, he can't go to him to be a confidant because it's his first officer. But I think there's just that enough separation between his second officer and also him being of Starfleet and a firm believer in Starfleet. He feels a little bit easier going to him than somebody else.
He's probably going to Tuvok with a lot of problems he's having with Chakotay, maybe only to realize that, oh, the fact that his confidant is a fellow Starfleet officer and maybe he's unknowingly keeping things from Chakotay because he's airing them with Tuvok, realizing that that might be a little bit of a mistake, but does it for a while before he catches it.
maybe that's something that Chakotay notices and brings up, where he says, he's like,
Yeah.
I'm not really the first officer. Tuvok is the first officer. I'm the first officer, name only. I'm your token Maquis.
Yes. Thus all the contention, at least on a professional level. Personally, they've got issues going too, but that would work so well.
So we have kind of like a triangle of command. Instead of a love triangle, we have a
command triangle that isn't working.
Right. It's a dysfunctional relationship, and we apparently need to put them in some sort of therapy to work their problems out.
I think under Sisko, even though I think Sisko gets a bad rap for being
The wartime captain, and some people use that as a negative because he's the only captain that we've seen during wartime. You know, we didn't see Kirk during wartime. We only saw Picard in like a Klingon war in an alternate reality episode. And Janeway wasn't in war. And so Sisko was the wartime captain. We saw him during the Dominion War and in battles with the Klingons. And so he is the most battle-ready captain we've seen, but I don't think that makes him a warmonger and doesn't make him quick to action. I think that he gets a bad rap for that. However, all of that said, I think he would be very ready and willing to listen to Tuvok about equipping Voyager to have more teeth and to have that elite force that we saw in the video games, like the Hazard team. I think we would see that creation.
I think it would come out of some sort of dangerous encounter with some race out there in the Delta Quadrant. I would say it would come out of necessity rather than just, we need to be ready.
My knee-jerk is the Vidians.
You think that early?
I think it would be that early. I think the Vidians freak Sisko out, and he's like, they are far more advanced, and they are coming out to get us.
I mean, they already stole a lung out of Neelix. Kes does not have another one.
Right. And so we need to be ready for this. We need to protect ourselves. We could deal with the Kazon, but the Vidians might be something that we can't protect ourselves against if we go head to head with them.
I mean, the more I think about that, the more that makes sense. For one, the Vidians are great villains, and they are incredibly dangerous, but they are all out here alone against all these other forces out there. They should be ready to tackle some sort of antagonist at the drop of a hat. They should be ready. They have to be ready if they want to survive out here. The Delta Quadrant's going to very quickly become a dangerous place, and they're going to realize that.
Yeah, and I think the same way that Sisko outfitted
Deep Space Nine with more torpedoes and launchers and phasers and everything like that for Season 4, I think he would do that to Voyager as well. I think we would see more modifications.
Yeah, and maybe we see them doing things like building torpedoes.
Yes, like figuring out an alternate source to use for torpedoes. I would love to see that.
Totally. Yeah, that would bring out some ingenuity out of Torres, and that could be kind of fun, and then that would kind of solve one of those ongoing problems where does Voyager get all these torpedoes? They're constantly talking about how they only have so many.
Speaking of Torres.
Let's talk about her.
How does that relationship go down? How does
Sisko react to Chakotay saying Torres needs to be the chief engineer? And by the way, she just broke somebody's nose.
I think much like Janeway, Sisko's going to be hesitant at first because of her hot temper, but he's going to hear it out, and he's going to realize that he too, I mean, he can boil over too, so he's going to recognize that he needs to be the calmer one in this relationship. So he's going to listen to her. He's going to let her get her point across, and he is going to realize that she's a brilliant engineer. So I don't think it's going to be too terribly different. He's probably going to start her off on maybe a probationary basis where, hey, if you can get along with everybody and run your team, you've got the job. He's going to give her a chance. That's what I'm thinking.
I think that's a key difference right there. I'm with you where I don't think things turn out too differently, but I think he kind of puts in that,
okay, you're chief engineer for now. I'm the only one who knows this, but you are chief engineer for now. And if you can show me in 6 months that you can actually run this crew or like run that room or run engineering, then I'm making you full time or something like that. And so maybe we can even see that pop up again later where she has some issues and she's like, I love this job. I'm going to work through it because I don't want to not be the chief.
Yeah, that would be cool. She's going to have to maybe work a little harder for it.
yeah, and he doesn't disrespect her.
By saying that to the entire crew, saying, oh, she's on a probationary period.
Yeah.
She's the chief engineer.
Yeah, and he also has to calm down some distressed Starfleet officers who thought they were going to get the job. Maybe they're working to take her down a little bit. You could have some sort of subplot where, I don't know, Carrie or something is just really pissed. And he tries to do something that makes it look like Torres is not doing her job properly. And no. I mean, that's not a very Starfleet thing to do.
I don't like the idea of besmirching Carrie because he was actually a class act during the entire situation.
Yeah.
I would like to see that conversation, though, happen. I would like to see the conversation of Sisko telling Carrie, listen, you're not going to be chief engineer. That would be a very uncomfortable conversation.
And you're going to listen to this angry Klingon lady and follow her orders, and you're going to like it.
Right.
He's going to hate it. But yeah, you're right. Joe Carey is too much of a good Starfleet officer to not do it.
All right, Tom Paris.
I'm struggling with how this one might go.
I feel like, I mean, Janeway didn't put up with too much of Tom's crap. I mean, like she demoted him. She demoted the man.
Yes.
And so with Sisko, I feel like Tom could charm Janeway sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel like Tom could talk his way out of certain things with Janeway because he was always getting in trouble. I don't think that would work on Sisko. I think Sisko would be even harder on Tom.
I think you're right. I think he's going to keep Tom on a short leash, and he's really not going to like the guy too much. He's going to hate Tom's arrogant attitude.
I see what you're saying, but I feel like I want to steer in a different direction.
Yeah?
Where I think the same way that Janeway saw Seven as her kind of personal mentorship, I would love to see Sisko take Tom underneath his wing.
Oh, you think? Because Neelix is kind of his project.
I would say just with cooking. Like, I didn't want to get like a mentorship angle. I think with Tom,
no, I suppose. Okay, yeah, you're right.
I feel Sisko would be able to work with Tom. Like, I think he would be extra hard on him. And that would make a great moment where Tom would say, like, can I speak freely? And he's like, yeah, sure. He's like, why are you always on my ass? What is going on?
Yeah.
And Sisko just kind of lays it down and says, you remind me of me when I was younger, and you can do better. You can be better, and you can do better.
Yeah, that's great. And then that actually really fits because then Tom later becomes a family man, and Sisko's a family man. So he's grooming Tom to be that better man.
I think that's how it would work for me. I feel like the Janeway 7 relationship would be replaced by the Sisko-Tom relationship.
That works too good. Okay, so that wasn't nearly as complicated as I was overthinking it.
So speaking of Family Man, we need to talk about Jake a little bit. How is Jake on Voyager? What does he do?
Man, I kind of wonder if he's going to get a little bored because he's the only kid aboard this ship. He doesn't have Nog. He doesn't have friends. He just has fellow officers. It's like the kid hanging around a bunch of other adults.
And it's going to take forever to get Wildman, and even then she's going to be too young.
Well, yeah, he's going to babysit her, maybe.
That would be fun. I think that would be an interesting storyline. Jake, the Jake babysits Naomi episode.
That would be great. Now, is Jake still a writer? Because that's sort of something he develops as time goes on.
I would love to see him continue to be a writer, and
maybe he's chronicling, his point of view of the Voyager journey.
The mind naturally goes there, and I think we should embrace it because somebody's got to tell their stories, and somebody has to document it instead of just personal log and captain's log and everything like that.
Question, does he turn it into a holo novel, and are there questions about the nature of the truthfulness of this story?
I think he kind of has that weekly email blast to everybody where it's not not the news.
Instead of Neelix doing Good Day Voyager, it's Jake doing a broadcast of the highlights of the week.
And he dramatizes it. I think that's the thing, is that, like, can you imagine, I'm blanking on the episode where there's two Janeways and the Vidians attack.
Oh, Deadlock.
Deadlock, I couldn't think of that name for some reason. Can you imagine Deadlock dramatized or novelized? And he's he's like, hey, you remember when that crazy crap happened with, and we were deadlocked with that alternate version of ourselves? Well, here's a little novella about it. And he does that every week or every month or something.
And by the way, that was Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. And so, and maybe once they get in contact with Earth, people start downloading his stories like crazy, and he becomes super popular on Earth.
Yeah, Jake becomes famous overnight in the Alpha Quadrant. He doesn't even know for a while.
And he's not even there. Yeah. He's not even in the Alpha Quadrant, and people are just like, give us more about the adventures of USS Voyager.
Right, and he's like, well, what more do you want? It's just, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that would be a great story.
And then there could be a follow-up story where some secret crap snuck through in some of his stories, where Starfleet headquarters is like, hey, Jake, you're leaking out some top secret stuff here, and it's caused some hell.
Yeah, thanks for the details on the bioneural gel packs being infected with cheese.
Yeah, I think like those kind of stories would happen, so there would be a fallout. And
I love it. Like, he's really popular with the masses, but Starfleet Command is kind of pissed.
Right. Yes, that kind of thing would happen.
Love
and
it.
Also, I feel like if the Borg kids came on board, maybe he would interact with them a little bit more. And like maybe him and Icheb would develop a relationship.
Yeah, maybe they'd be buds.
Yeah. I don't feel like they would be, but for lack of options, I mean, what else does he have?
Yeah, it's more of that convenience of, hey, you're here and I'm here. Even if we don't have that much in common, we're going to be friends because we don't have anybody else. I do wonder if Jake is going to deal with a lot of loneliness, being the only kid his age.
I think that's something that we would definitely explore. And
I think he and Ben Sisko, they'd be talking a lot about the loneliness of being out there.
I think we would see Sisko take time off as much as he possibly could in order to be with Jake.
Yeah. Well, and I also think out of Jake's boredom, that's what prompts him to chronicle the journey. Like, that's his way of embracing it.
I could see Chakotay in the captain's chair a whole lot more than he was during the original run because
Sisko understands the importance of taking time off and being an actual father, while Janeway didn't have that responsibility, so she didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, maybe Sisko's delegating a little more responsibility to Chakotay as time goes on, as he gains trust, and that means a lot to Chakotay.
Absolutely.
Poor Robert Beltran is just still going to be stuck on the bridge, but for entirely different reasons.
So one person that we haven't talked about yet was poor Harry.
Poor Harry. Okay, so if Tom is going to be Sisko's project, what is Harry to him?
Oh, man.
Harry was sort of a project for Janeway. I mean, she was the role model for him.
I mean, it was there, but I don't think they really explored it too terribly much.
It was really subtle and intermittent.
Mm-hmm. I honestly believe that there wouldn't be that much of a relationship.
You suppose Harry's just going to go off? I mean, they just have a strictly professional relationship and Harry has his friends elsewhere? Well, not his friends, but his relationships elsewhere.
I think he's gonna be defined by the relationships he has outside of the captain. I think he's still gonna be best buds with Tom. He's still gonna connect with B'Elanna. I still think he maybe down the line he's developed some sort of relationship with Tuvok. I think Harry's still gonna be Harry, but it's just they're not gonna have that maternal or paternal thing that he had with Janeway. So,
right. Do you suppose Harry over time might think, God, why does the captain hate me? He's not going to promote me, ever.
Does Sisko promote Harry?
I would love it if he did.
Wouldn't we all? Okay, so we only have a couple minutes left. Let's talk about Kes.
I think that's going to be pretty straightforward. Kes is going to come forward and say, hey, we've got a cargo bay we can use to grow food. I will run hydroponics. And Sisko says, okay.
I think Sisko is excited about the idea. I think he immediately greenlights it, and I think this is kind of that situation where he's with Neelix and teaches him how to cook. I think he gets with Kes and says, let's grow something together. Let's have a garden. And maybe that's what he does in his spare time. Like, that is his therapy, is helping Kes with the hydroponics bay.
Awesome. But Kes is such an overworker that she's already tended to everything. There's no work for him to do. So then he's just there staring at plants.
I want to say that, like, I think Sisko would take ownership. I think he would force himself onto the situation and say, like, we're doing this together.
Well, I mean, yeah, you might be right.
Maybe that's what pushes her to learn a little bit more about medicine, because he's kind of, he's doing a little too much in the hydroponics bay.
Maybe, or just the fact that food in and of itself can, like, be healing. You make that connection.
Okay. I don't know what that has to do with Sisko, but...
Well, it doesn't have much to do with Sisko. It has to do with Kes.
Okay.
Meaning, basically, once hydroponics kind of gets under control and this is really Sisko's baby, she wants her own identity. So that's when she moves into medicine a little more.
Okay. Yeah, I can definitely see that happening.
And I think they have a sweet relationship,
I think they have that very cordial relationship of, like, we do this together, and so we have shared a lot of conversation together. I feel like they still have that special, like Janeway and Kes had a special relationship. I want to see Sisko have a paternal relationship with Kes the same way that Janeway did.
Yeah.
Where, like, Jake is always there, Jake is always his boy, but maybe he kind of pseudo-adopts Kes.
Do you think? So then, how does that work with the relationship Kes has with Neelix? Because they're a couple. Like, does that affect how Sisko then feels about Neelix?
I think it's definitely possible. I think maybe Kes gets out of the relationship a little quicker.
I just don't think there should have been a relationship, not a romantic relationship. But we've talked about this.
We've talked about it at length, but I think we're getting into wish fulfillment here.
We are.
So there's two big people that we need to talk about. We don't have the time, and that's Seven and the Doctor. So how about this, guys? Write in what you think would happen. How would Sisko interact with the Doctor in his search for
holographic rights and individuality, and how would he work with Seven with her search for individuality?
Yeah.
Let us know by going to thenerdparty.com/contact, select Punch It from the drop-down menu, fill out the form. It'll send us an email. Let us know what you think. There are no wrong answers here, folks.
No, just help us fill out the blanks.
You can let us know on Facebook at facebook.com/thenerdparty. You can find us on Twitter at joinnerdparty. You can also find us individually on Twitter. I'm at theinsanerobin.
And I'm at Oh the Profanity.
Now, we have no idea what we're going to do next week. Could be a what if, could be something else. But whatever it's going to be, we're going to punch it.
Ready for warp, sir. Let's punch it.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.